Hello, and welcome to Waves of YA, a podcast focused on young adult literacy, brought to you by the Ocean County Library's Teen Literacy Work Group. My name is Lindsay, and I'm a teen services librarian. Joining me today, we have
Colleen. I'm another teen services librarian.
And Courtney, a third teen services librarian.
And on today's episode, we'll be focusing on stories about survival. Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh.
Oh, I love survival.
Talk about survival. We were talking about it before this started. It's like I picture being on an island and, you have to survive. But it's really a lot of different stories can be books on survival.
Mm-hmm. It's really true. Anyone have a favorite title they want to share first?
So actually, one of my favorite YA books of all time is actually a story of survival. It's Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys.
Oh, yes. I love that book. And I didn't even think of it.
Because
Cool.
I recommend it for really emotional, heartbreaking stories. But it's really about this group of teens that are trying to evacuate during World War II, and their boat is attacked and they have to survive the sinking. It's almost like Titanic, but less drama, more drama, because it's real life. But so is Titanic. So, but yeah, it's just really wild. It's a great book. It's really emotional, and it's I still can't believe some of these people lived through it.
Yeah, and actually, I didn't read that one. I was thinking of Between Shades of Grey, which is also
another one,
a survival story.
So a lot of historical fiction, during World War II or any war, is really just about survival.
For sure. What do you prefer? Do you prefer like a war story, or do you prefer a dystopian survival like Hunger Games or Lost in the Woods? Do you have a preference? Courtney, do you have a preference?
For me, I feel like it is that Lost in the Woods. Because for me, I read Hatchet by Gary Paulson so many times when I was a kid. I don't know why. I wasn't super outdoorsy, I wasn't doing that in my free time. I was just reading this story about this kid who is on a private plane to go see his dad or whatever. And I say private plane and that sounds fancy, but I imagine almost everyone I've talked to has read Hatchet, but just in case you haven't. So
I haven't.
It's on this
I've actually never read it.
Seriously? Okay, this is amazing. Okay. So kid is on this tiny little nothing plane over the Canadian forest. Just the wilds, I imagine, take up most of Canada up there. But this plane goes down and crashes, and the pilot dies, and he is in the woods. He has a hatchet with him because it's set in the 80s, and I guess it used to just be okay to randomly get an axe and take it with you on plane flights. And he has to survive in the woods and try and find a way to get rescued. And it's just, all of it is it just caught my imagination so much, the way he has to find and build shelter and really figure his stuff out. I still recommend it. I mean, it's...
I also recommend it, even though
I haven't
read it. Because I know it is a classic and everyone pretty much loves it. And it's short.
Yes, that's true. It is.
So
this time.
I usually go for that.
And there are sequels. There's
yes, I noticed.
A regular sequel where it's he gets hired by a sporting equipment company to go back and show someone how he did it. And it's supposed to be hey, show us how you survived in the wild with our cool gear to help you. And the whole time he's oh man, this is nonsense because this isn't really survival. And then of course something goes wrong and it turns back into real survival.
Yeah.
And then there's another one that's alternate sequel where it's if he didn't get rescued, how he survives his first winter in the woods.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just a very unique thing to do. It's an author
That
just
is really
going
cool.
and writing some fan fiction
Choose
of
your own
their
adventure.
own stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I also do stories like that too. My favorite standout from 2021 was Be Not Far From Me, about this girl who's camping with her friends in the woods. She gets upset because her boyfriend's cheating on her, so she runs off. She gets lost, can't find her way, falls down, hurts herself, So like her foot is bleeding. She's wandering through the woods, and like it's just this wild story of her like trying to find home.
Yeah.
She has to attack a possum at some point, I think. Like, oh my God, it's so good.
I read
And it
that,
sounds
and
silly, but it's not.
I remember when I started reading it and the fact that she was at that party and then she walked away. I was like, she's really gonna get lost like
That easily.
that easily, that close to her friends. And I thought, oh, this is not gonna be very good because that sounds weird and kind of silly. But
I
then
think that's
I
realistic though.
loved
You
it.
really can get lost
I
that quickly.
know. Well, that I mean, it's true. Like you, especially in like the woods, you can get turned around so easily. And it's like if there's just trees everywhere, there's nothing to tell you which way is what.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I love that one too. I listened to that on audio, and the narrator I really thought did an excellent job, and I didn't want it to end. And I was like, I remember laying in my bed listening to it before I was going to sleep, and I wouldn't shut it off because I was just so
Yeah.
into it. I was so into it. So,
And that's another kind of short one. That's not very long.
Mhm.
So like a really quick story.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely.
have that one on my list too. That is Mindy McGinnis.
Yes, Mindy
She writes a lot of like
She is fantastic.
thrillers. Again, with this one of my favorite things about Mindy McGinnis is she has these female main characters who just seem so real to me.
Mhm.
Like
She's awesome.
they're
Yeah, a
just
lot of
very like
athletes.
very flawed in a realistic way and can be kind of dark in a way that you don't get to see female characters always end up.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I really enjoyed that one.
And like another, when I was looking up survival stories, one that came up that I had just read in the fall, it's called 10. It's a murder mystery, but they're on this island. So I think it's based on Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None or whatever. And that's like, you don't think of a murder mystery really being a survival story, but it is because she's trying not to get killed.
Mhm.
Just like you're trying to survive not being killed by the forest. There's a murderer running around and you're trying to live.
Mhm. I think a lot of books, when people hear survival, they automatically think a super scary situation, violence, whether you're being taken or in the forest alone. But it can also just be surviving the day, whether it's at school or work or whatever. So that all counts too. There's a book I like. It's called Punching the Air. It's I
Oh, I
think you
haven't read
say
it.
E.B. Zaboy, and it's written in verse, and it's about a kid who gets wrongfully convicted of a crime and he gets incarcerated. And he's in jail and he's stealing and he turns to art, and it was really beautiful, and the cover is amazing. But another situation where you don't think, "Oh, yeah, duh, you're in jail. You can't let it get to you. You gotta survive and hopefully get
Mhm.
out one day," especially if you're wrongfully convicted of something. I can't even imagine. It's probably one of my worst fears.
Yeah, that's horrible. So another kind of different story that I really liked was Dry by Neil Shusterman. Have you guys read that one? Really, it takes place only like a week. There's a huge drought and it takes place in California. There's no water to be found, just like randomly one day. The parents leave their kids at home to go in line to get water and they don't come back. And we're thinking this is the beginning of the end of the world. So there's chaos going on. The kids are trying to find water. They're really trying to survive, not knowing when their parents are ever coming back. People are like obviously starting to fight and kill people over water. It's like crazy. But I forget what happened to the parents. They got detained or stuck, but they were fine. They were alive. So like at the end of these days, the water got shipped in and everything was okay. But they had to survive on their own amongst all this dangerous stuff for a couple of days, and it was just wild.
Yeah.
I read All That's Left in the World by Eric
Mm.
Brown, and that is a post-apocalyptic. I read it fairly recently because for most of the past couple years, I've avoided stuff like this because it's post-apocalyptic because there's a deadly pathogen that kills off most of the population, and I could just do without for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's very
actually,
anxiety inducing.
there's one cover image. I don't think it's a cover image that I see when I look it up now, like not the one that shows up in the catalog, but there was an older cover image that was really, really cool looking.
Oh, I think I'm looking at it.
With the sign and stuff.
And the
Yeah.
truck. Yeah.
Yes, and I was like, okay, this looks really cool. But it was really good, whichever cover it's got. But it's two boys who both survived, and the one boy is just walking through the woods. I don't even remember if he's going someplace or if he's just like, well, I lived in Philly, I can't stay there, I'm going to just walk through the woods. And he ends up getting hurt by like a bear trap or something.
Oh.
And so then he's limping through the woods and stumbles upon the other boy's house, and it's kind of set up like an off-grid kind of decent, they've still got electricity and water that's pumped up and whatever. They reluctantly kind of become allies because they both found that you can't trust other people in this post-apocalyptic world. Then a local group of survivors who is definitely proving that you can't trust people in this post-apocalyptic world finds them. So then they have to like hit the road and try and find someplace else. And they're getting closer and becoming friends, and it eventually turns into romance, and they find other survivors. It's really good.
Cool. It
it's
has good
kinda-
ratings. I'm gonna read it.
Yeah, that sounds really great.
I liked it. I think that it's realistic enough, and obviously like bad stuff happens, but it's not like super dark, depressing. Like it's
Mhm.
overall, I would say it's like a nice love story set in a post-apocalyptic survival scenario.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that we started talking about this because when I was looking at this book, I'm like, I don't know if I can count post-apocalyptic as survival, because if it's post-apocalyptic, is it default a survival story? But
Technically, we're just surviving now. We go to work so we can pay to eat, to survive and live. So
Mhm.
are we in our own survival stories?
Yes.
Just not as extreme. And then I was thinking any kind of science fiction story where they're like they explore the universe and get away from Earth because Earth is dying. Like that's a survival story. Like The Last Quintista, was that the new YA book this year? It was like a middle grade book that was about them leaving Earth and trying to keep their stories alive. And that's
That sounds
survival of
good.
the human race. It was a great book. It was
And Courtney, when you started talking about all that's left in the world, I'm reading the review and it's or the Goodreads page, and it's compared to How I Live Now. Did you guys read that? It's kind of old. It's by
no.
Meg Rosoff, and they made a movie of it, and it's Saoirse Ronan. And I remember seeing the movie first, and it's about this girl who's from Manhattan, and she goes to England, and her 3 cousins are there, and then all of a sudden, London is attacked, and everybody's
I did read that.
gone. Yeah. And I liked it a lot. There's a wonky romance between her and her cousin.
Oh gosh.
But otherwise, it was good, and I liked it. I like Meg Rosoff in general. So, yeah, that's, I guess, dystopian a little bit. I also read Girl Stolen, which was also a popular one maybe 10 years ago.
Yes.
And that's about a blind girl who's in the car. She's waiting for her mom, and then someone comes and steals the car, and she's kidnapped. And they take her hostage, and she goes on this adventure and has to figure out how to get away from this guy. But then she kind of likes him. So,
I think I did read that.
yeah. I think there's always a good survival story in most books we read.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything that can like you can spin survival to
Mm-hmm.
almost
You
anything.
really can.
I just reread the Hunger Games trilogy because
Yeah.
me and my brother and my sister-in-law decided to watch the movies, because when they came out, I think I saw the first and maybe the second, but I didn't see the last one. So we watched it, and definitely holds up. But I reread the books, and it's like that is right in that survival genre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because at first she's just going out and hunting and surviving and trying to feed her family. And then she's thrown into this game where she's literally has to directly fight for her life with a short period of time. So it's really interesting on multiple levels.
Do you read Beauty Queens?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
Oh, that's a
Libba
great
Bray,
one.
right?
Yep, Libba Bray. Yeah, it's
The,
basically Lord of the Flies with beauty queens.
all the participants in the Miss America or the whatever, some pageant, are on a plane and it crashes on a desert island, and there's
I forgot all about that book.
the cover's so cool. It's like a ammo thing. I don't even know what it's called, but with lipsticks in it instead of bullets. You know, a thing that you wear across your chest, or you do if you carry a bunch of bullets on this sash thing.
A
Weapon
bandolier.
holder?
Oh,
Bandolier.
Okay.
Okay.
Bandolier.
I've heard bandoliers described many a times in books. I don't think I ever put it together that that's what they were talking about.
You're just like, yeah, whatever that means.
Okay.
And then you have memoirs of people who've gone through it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
No, do you guys have any favorite memoirs of people that have survived their life? I just read Matthew Perry's book, which I think is a little controversial right now.
Which is just him surviving his addiction.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I listened to it. I enjoyed listening to it. Ooh, I know. I have a good one that is not a YA, but it would definitely appeal to YA readers, I think. It's fiction. It's called These Silent Woods. And it's about this guy and his daughter, and they're hiding, but the daughter doesn't really know why they're hiding. And then it unfolds what actually happened and why they're out there. But it was so great. The little girl in it is Finch, and she has like this wild imagination. And it's almost got like a slight, it's not magical realism, but it feels that way. The writing is really good. But it's like a father-daughter story, but they're surviving in the woods. And I don't want to spoil why, but
yeah, that's
I
really interesting. I kind of really want to.
I read it last year, but I really enjoyed it.
While we're on the not YA books kick, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. He wrote The Martian, which is another.
Oh yeah, even The Martian.
Yeah, they're both. I don't see any reason why they couldn't appeal to young adult readers, and they're just great space misadventure survival stories.
Mm-hmm.
Space is really scary. We're not meant to live out there for any amount of time. And the fact that in real life, people actually go there is mind-blowing to me.
I find it terrifying. I'm always like, if the Earth's dying, I'm going down with the ship. And my husband's like, I want to be on the spaceship to Mars. I'm like, you can go. I'm not leaving my house.
Being on a plane for like 2 hours is terrible. Being on a spaceship must be awful.
I gotta say, I have no desire to go into space. I think it's scary.
Yeah, horrifying.
I think it's not for me.
You never know what you're going to encounter. Just like the classic YA book, The Knife of Never Letting Go. They find a new planet, and it's weird. It's really weird. Have you guys read that?
I have it at home, and I haven't read it. And I want
so like
to.
I love
something in the planet makes it that all their thoughts are like allowed. So it's like a speech bubbles of everything you're thinking, and they have to adapt that, and it's like so bizarre. It's such a great series.
That's wild. Okay, I might try it one day. There's too many books.
I know.
I did read a good middle grade survival story. It's called Alone. It's by Megan E. Freeman, and this girl, everyone gets evacuated. I forget why she is by herself. She might have been sleeping. I don't know, but I
just read about this on Goodreads. It's like she's trying to sneak a sleepover, so she can like some sort of like hijinks with telling her parents she's going to be one place and she's not, or whatever.
And then all of a sudden the town is evacuated and everyone's gone. And so she has to survive. So she's raiding people's houses for food. But eventually, as time goes on, that stuff runs out. She has a dog with her. It's written in verse. It would take you 1 minute to read. I really liked it. I thought it was a great middle grade. And I think it would have appeal to older readers too. We have a lot of books that we talked about today so far. Wow.
And I mean, I can just go on and on and on, but
because I'm like writing them all down, and wow, so many.
Another middle grade novel in verse that I read was The Canyon's Edge. Dusty Bowling is the author. It's this girl and her dad, and they go to explore a canyon because they hike and rock climb and stuff like that. And they're going to explore this canyon, and it's a year since her mom died in a random shooting while they were out at a restaurant. And it's obviously been a terrible year, and her dad is like, they're not going to public places. She's not allowed to go to school or whatever, but they go out to do this hike. And then while they're exploring the canyon, there's a flash flood and they get separated. So then she's separated from her dad, and I think she's like 12 or 13, so pretty young, and trying to get through the canyon and survive in the desert and find her dad and escape. And it's really good. It deals with
Wow.
her like PTSD and trying to process all of the trauma around what happened when her mom died.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It sounds sad, and I have another sad one to add.
Oh,
This
God.
is also adult, but it's about teens. The protagonist is a teen. It's called In an Instant, and it's about this family that is going on a trip and they get in an accident in the snow. The 16-year-old lead girl is Finn, and she doesn't die, but she's not alive. She's kind of like in the in-between. So she's witnessing her family trying to survive in the snow with no help, and people are injured and they're trying to figure out what to do. It's very heavy and very sad, but also super well written and so good. Like, can't stop reading it, even though it's heavy and sad. But highly recommend. Definitely crossover, I think, for teens and adults.
Ugh.
Don't cry yet, Colleen. You didn't even read the book.
I don't have to.
I'm rereading the Illuminae trilogy.
I haven't read that one.
Ooh, so good.
As it gets towards the end of the year, I find myself doing more rereading. It's like I really want that like familiar comfort
Yeah.
read.
December's like that. I don't read barely. I know that I'm not going to really read in December, so I don't stress out about it anymore. It's just I'm going to be watching Christmas movies I've seen a million times. I'm going to reread something I've already read. I think it's the proper month to do that.
Oh, and
And I'm
Lindsay,
over
if
here.
you like audiobooks, and
Yeah.
the Illuminae, the production quality on the audiobooks is
Fantastic.
it.
So good.
I just got it. Well, that's what I was going to say. You're saying, oh, December, you're rereading and not really reading anything new. And I'm over here. All I've done today, all day, is add to my TBR. And I requested a crap ton of books on my library card because think that I'm going to go and read, and I'm just not. And they're going to pile up.
Yeah, I have the same pile of books at home that I had when I went on vacation in September.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and then that happens, and I'm like, okay, well, those books have come and gone. I do not want to read those anymore, so I'll put them back, and I'll get a new stack that will just sit there, and I'll be like, I'm really gonna read these. I'm really gonna read these. I might like crack one open, and then, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think survival stories, some of these are really good for reading slumps.
Yeah.
They're action-packed, some of them. Like, if you've never read The Hunger Games, come on.
Oh, I've got one more. Can I talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's called Cold the Night, Fast the Wolves. The author is Meg Long.
I think I've wanted to read that.
It's science fiction, and there's a wolf, and
that's why I've heard of it.
She has to train the wolf, and
it looks good. The cover.
It's so good. The wolf ends up loving her. Spoilers. It's science fiction. Main character is a girl named Sina. She lives on this frozen world, and every year there's a sled race, and it's because during that season the trail is passable to get to this place where you can mine some sort of valuable whatever. She hates the sled race, even though everyone's obsessed with it, because her moms used to do the sled race and they died doing it 5 years before the story starts. So she's working for this local gangster guy trying to do like odd jobs and survive, and ends up getting hired to take care of one of his wolves. Then stuff happens and she gets caught trying to like steal something, and he's like, all right, well, now it's either you help out on my sled race or I'm gonna kill you and anyone you've ever spoken to. So she ends up having to do this race. Meanwhile, she's got this wolf. Having your own wolf, I know that IRL it doesn't actually work and they don't make good pets, but like just having a wolf that loves you is like my 12-year-old Courtney's dream. So it was very, very satisfying in that way. My notes for this, I wrote the words wolf and puppy with exclamation points. That was my notes for this book.
The cover is stunning and it sounds really cool. So one day I'll try it. One day.
Yeah.
Yes. That's great. We did so many books.
Okay, so to wrap things up, if you had to pick one of these worlds to survive in, which one would you do?
Oh boy. I would probably choose the middle grade book I mentioned, Alone, where everyone just evacuated. I would probably choose that one because she started out having access to everybody's food, everybody's house. There was no electricity, but I feel like she had more supplies than a lot of people do in a true survival situation, if we're talking like all alone somewhere or in
Yeah.
the woods. So, a regular neighborhood, please.
Yeah. I don't know. I always say if something happens that I'll just die. So how am I going to live if I can't get a new prescription for my glasses every year? Like, I'm not going to be able to see one day. If somebody steps on my glasses, I'm done. And I'm just dragging everybody behind me at that point. So I think that if I had to pick, I would just pick, I guess, B, and be not far from me. See if I can survive in the woods for a couple days. If I can, then I'm good. If I don't, I was never going to survive the apocalypse. So that's it.
I think for all I was talking before, like if I had to pick one of the scenarios, like maybe space, because like if I'm going to start off in a treacherous situation, I'd like to have NASA, set me up for it. Like it seems like that might help, because just on my own, I do not have the skill set to just survive in the woods if you drop me in and break my ankle. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for all of the good suggestions and the expanded to be read pile.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, always.
So long. Good chatting.
Thanks for joining us today. Be sure to check out the Ocean County Library's website for more podcasts and events on our website's Calendar of Events page. All titles mentioned in today's episode can be found through the Ocean County Library, free with your library card. Until next time, happy reading.